Carrowmore and the drowned lands. The sun has finally gone down. That malignant eye of the optical god, which needed no lens to blister your skin, to cause you to be dehydrated despite all the water around you, to cause you to be so exhausted, indeed to sleep off most of the back half of the day. The company members are paddling along in the early evening up this river. It's unfair to even call it a river. It's just a big floodplain more than anything that follows a path vaguely in one direction towards the dam. The three of you are sharing a boat with the smiling, honey-skinned youth, while all of you, and indeed everybody in the company, is sunburned and tired and stinking and just the feeling of damp, moist death hanging over you and worming its way in you. The smiling youth, his skin is a perfectly honey golden. His hair is delightfully tousled. He smells surprisingly good. He is sort of propped up in between all of you while you paddle the boat, doing no work. And he says, "Tell me a story. Each of you, tell me a story, and I'll decide which one I like best. And whichever one I like best, I will grant you my favor. You will each tell your story. We as a group will vote to determine whose story we like best, therefore giving them the favor of the honey-skinned youth. Whoever wants to tell their story first, a story of what drives you, please do."
Fort can go first. He kind of fixes the smiling youth and kind of tells the story directly to him. He says, well, as you may or may not know, I was a bail bondsman of a sort in the shadow of Barcel Prison. I didn't inherit the talent for music or art as my ancestors used to build their fortune, and so I watched it slowly dwindle away. But I did have a talent for spotting opportunity, and one of those opportunities was loaning people money to purchase temporary freedom from prison to get their affairs in order before facing trial and maybe the gallows itself. But even at that, these are desperate people in a desperate time, and I found a way to double dip. You see, I would offer them lodging. Many of them had fallen on hard times even before facing trial, and so I would quarter them in my back of my shop and let them conduct their business. But when the date of their trial would come, they would find it curiously locked. Of course, the court would seek my counsel. What has become of them? What are their crimes? And I would offer suggestions on what a suitable bounty would be from my years of experience. And then I would go and collect that bounty. And I would claim to find them in places of ill repute, out in the wilds. And I would turn them in, even though I had just basically spirited them from my shop to the court. But even then I knew you should not get too close, right? These people would face imprisonment at the least, if not sentenced to death. And there was one individual who took their fate with a sort of grim peace, acted like a proper guest in my shop as if it were my home, as if they were being welcomed to something. This older man told me stories. And eventually, day before the trial came, I asked him, "What brings you such peace?" And he said that as a youth, he had seen a vision of another youth, someone who promised him peace in the afterlife, a peace he had never known as a boy or man. We didn't have a lot of time, but I had a suspicion this man was not guilty of the crime with which he was charged, and that I could prove him innocent. And rather than seeking a bounty for him, I sought to clear his name. But he had made powerful enemies in the court and outside, and he would never see trial. But I felt that if I honored this youth that he so believed in, that gave him such peace at the end, that maybe I could have one more day and I could tell him the things I should have told him then when I didn't realize our time was so very short.
Your story will hold you in good stead with the company of Salt and Iron, which will aid you in your quest. Add 1 gold directly to Hoard. An excellent story, the smiling youth says, and gives you a wink for it. Who's next?
Oh, perhaps a story from my own childhood. I am I'm not like I am as I am now. Once I was a little child, looking like any other human child would, sort of a tuft of frizzy hair, bit of nose, too much in anything, always curious, getting into trouble. But thankfully, my family had my people that raised me. They were from Amberet's capital, particularly in this district, the paper district. There's all sorts of things there, all sorts of intellectual pursuits, paper making, prophecy, rich and noble people. There was this tower above all else, and every afternoon or so, bits of paper would just flutter down from it. And it had things such as, "You will find out that your husband is having an affair with you, or you will eat a bit of bread today. It is stale." Uh, but no matter how banal these prophecies were, they would always come true. One day, came upon prophecy, and when I read it, I kept it a secret because it scared me, because it seemed so fantastical. It couldn't be true. It mustn't be true. But it said to me, "Your parents will finally rip off the mask on you." And, well, it did come true. I was abandoned shortly after that. That's why I'm out here looking for all sorts of things, trying to get wealth. I thought that maybe I could be turned back. I realize now that's not the case, but still, I don't think that idea of being abandoned just because, well, you have no control over your nature should be a thing. I hoped that by bringing back the legends of old, the morning nights, will bring some unity back to this land, at least a little bit.
Your story will hold you in good stead with the company. Add 1 gold to your hoard. Excellent story, if a bit morose, but excellent. All right then, Ria Silsmot, tell me a story.
Rias is clammy and clinging to himself a little tightly as this fever begins to set in. And he looks over at the honey-skinned youth and says, "Do you have any family?"
I consider everyone I meet my family.
I suppose that is a wise, if unsatisfactory answer. Look above us right now. It's constellation. In Nagane, we call them Ava and Rei, the one-winged sisters. Together, they do great things. But we also learn from them that family, even if you disagree with them, are people who you can do those great things with. And it's important to remember your family. My mother, she was the greatest astrologer in Nagane. And I say this without ego or exaggeration. As we speak and drift here on this floodplain in this rickety boat, what Nagane calls their brightest minds now crowd around each other in the temple of the peerless star, praying, waiting, hoping for Rametil snow to return to its former glory. Men and women there, they fumble in darkness, they reading words out of stellar patterns and sounding syllables to each other like a child learning how to speak. And my mother, Anarita, she made poetry out of them. I know this because when I left Nagane, I took with me her most important work, her star charts, all her notes on them. That's what lets me do my readings out here without a proper telescope like those in Nagane or Ambaret. So excellent was she at interpreting the heavens that she was elevated beyond the temple, named Royal Astrologer. Royal Astrologer. But even with that title, when she entered the holy temple to give her reports and horoscopes to the queen, they blindfolded her before entry, so that she could not look upon her majesty, nor see the holy frescoes and murals of the temple interior. Those are not for people of our caste, you see. Yet so important was she that she once spent 5 days blind during a confluence of weddings and holidays to do her work, save for when they let her gaze at the stars and the stars alone for her readings. It was Anarita Ilsmaat who detected the sickness of the second princess before her doctors even saw her first signs. And I will tell you, she loved this work. I can see it in the margins of her notes. Her excitement about where a star would be in 7 years, the perfect arrangement of the sisters, or her dread when the crocodile who sits at the shores of death would draw near. But the arrogance of our masters knows no bottom. My mother, she was assigned to a partner. I do not know whether or not she loved this man. I will tell you she never wrote about him. But what I do know is that she never saw him either. She was blindfolded on the nights that they were together, too. This much I was told by others. By night, she was one of the greatest minds in Nagane, but while the sun brightened the sky, she was a mere consort to a man too glorious for her to even look upon. A man whose name is supposed to be so great, and yet I could not tell it to you. So I know why she was selected to accompany that fated expedition into the desert. No one could have seen the stars better. So why couldn't she have seen what happened? Of course, I know the answer. It doesn't work that way. None of us know our end, really. The stars are not so certain, or wish to keep certain things secret even to each other. I keep looking through her notes. They're all I have left of her. And when I read them, it's like I can hear her voice again. It's like she's reading them to me. It's like they were written for me. I smile at her candid notes about this star or that. She talks about them like they're her brothers and sisters. Some of them have attitudes, dispositions, demeanors. They're like people to her, like sisters, brothers. And thus to me, well, that must mean that the stars then are my aunts and uncles, my extended family. But what am I to them, if not an aunt? No less than an aunt. I am Ria Silsmaat. Yet, that means nothing to them. This I'm fine with. I have no illusions about this work, about this company. I know what the salt and iron is. I will die, and I will be forgotten. But they should know their sister. They owe us that much.
I care little and less about your mother. But I know your twinkling serpent very well indeed. I have spent many a night wrapped in its twilight coils, feeling its power, its ancient power course through it. Your story will hold you in good stead with the company Ria Silsmot. You can add 1 gold to your hoard. And now we have to vote. Who shall earn the smiling youth's favor with their tale? Once you have your vote typed into chat, say so, or give me a thumbs up, and we will press. You cannot vote for yourself, incidentally. Do I have thumbs up everywhere? Very good. Hit enter. 2 for it, 2 Ria Silsmot. All of your stories were excellent, and I fear I cannot decide who shall have my favor. And so in the interest of camaraderie and good spirit, and indeed fraternal joy, you shall all have my favor. You all take marked by the smiling youth as a condition. It cannot be cleared.
Presumably, this is for Rias and Foret.
It's for all of you, because no clear, he could make up his mind.
What happens if I already am beloved of the honey-skinned youth?
You also have the honey-skinned youth's favor. Now, he jumps into the water in this disgusting, corpse-clogged, filthy water. It doesn't seem to bother him at all. He submerges and he swims away. Perhaps he goes to another boat. Perhaps well, who knows? He comes and goes. It tends to be his way. And for a time, you're paddling along up the river. The boats have all separated a bit at this point. And you spot up ahead something splashing around in the distance. What do you do?
Light, who has a light?
I don't have a light, but we can paddle closer.
No, unfortunately, my rock form Horgus has already spent its light.
I'll use the stars to try and guide us a little closer.
Do you have questions as you approach?
Yeah. I mean, what omens are waiting for us in the skies? But also, what is this object in the water that is,
Make a
or
hunt roll.
actually, what danger awaits us between here and there, and how do I avoid it?
Make a hunt roll.
Using stars, hopefully.
Yeah, if there's like if maybe you're forewarned by the stars.
Yeah.
Perhaps
Something's
the
odd.
peerless star is glowing particularly, well, it never glows bright,
Right, exactly.
throbbing in a particularly dull manner tonight.
It's a 6.
You look up into the sky and you see the constellation that is Ramadil Snow has another star that you don't remember being there before. A particularly bright, blazing star that seems to wink at you as it twinkles. Take your token. Anyone else?
I think Ford is paddling, but doing the kind of like quiet stroke. In other words, trying not to splash. One, not to betray our position, and two, to try and get a fix on where that sound is coming from.
Make a hunt roll.
Use silence.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
All right. A 2.
There is a creature of legend in these waters that the locals know as the Alpha Platypus, the most dangerous duck-billed platypus to ever walk the earth, the ultimate embodiment of nature's fury. Indeed, you see it coming at you. It's enormous, the size of a bull, whipping out its duck-billed head as it paddles towards you. It will capsize you easily. What do you do?
Start casting Beast if I have time for it.
You can start preparing, yes. What about you, Aveha?
Uh, damn, I don't know anything about platypuses. I think I am standing up in the boat pretty deftly, I would say so. And like I think as it's like probably swimming towards us, I'm gonna just start blasting it, potentially trying to reduce its endurance before it gets to us.
Yeah, I like that. We'll talk about the roles here in a minute. What are you doing for it?
I'm trying to barrage it with throwing knives.
So it's an effort to reduce the thing's endurance ahead of it arriving. I like this as a single die roll with the others doing help rolls if needed.
Okay.
Who's using an actual ritual here? Obeha and Rios?
Rios.
Uh, Technically for me, it's combat equipment because I have
Got it.
both arcane
So it's
energy.
Rios. Rios, you're going to be making the risk roll. You can take help from the others to lower its endurance. If you get a 4 or 5, it lowers it by 1. If you get a 6, it lowers it by 2. The only thing that can happen bad here is that you fail. And talk me through your dice.
I'm hoping to assume an aquatic form, that semi-aquatic form that we saw previously, and engage it on its terms
That's
in
very
the
wise
water.
indeed. Yeah. Fantastic. You've got one light and one dark.
I'm willing to accept a devil's bargain, uh, or at least hear one.
No matter what, at the very end of this, no matter how the combat goes, the shining youth is in one of the boats, reaching down a helping hand.
What does that mean?
I don't trust Jason. That's what it means. No matter what, Rias, I think you're going to get stuck in your aquatic form for a while, and you cannot get out of the water
Not
back
the
into
worst
boat.
thing in this segment of the adventure, I should point out.
Yeah, we have plenty. I mean, you'd be in the dirty water, but
Yeah, the corpse-filled water. It's gross,
Fair
Jason.
enough, fair enough.
yeah, that kind of mirrors where I was gonna go. I was gonna say you still retain gills on the side, one side, and they'll slowly fade. But while you still have them, you got to keep them moist, or else they're starting to ache.
Ooh, man, these are all good, but man, Rios does not trust this smiling youth.
Well, he's great.
And I feel like there's plot stuff involved. And that's the thing, is you can't tease me with plot stuff. So sure, let's go. I don't trust this smiling youth. That's the devil's bargain. I'll accept. 2 light, 1 dark. Let's go.
2 light, 1 dark.
3 dark.
3 dark. That is a big old miss, but you can take help from the others. You've all described how you're trying to lower the endurance of the thing. Whoever wants to step in and roll, please do.
I will step in.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
think anyone has taken the lucky coin since I took it last. There is a 1 on the table. Can I re-roll that 1?
Oh, sure. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Sure.
Just roll a single light die.
Single light die. It's a 3, so
Okay.
still doesn't help.
Not so much luck. So much for the stars in the sky tonight.
Right.
Go ahead, Abeha.
Yep. Let's see. Also 3. Fuck you,
Not
dice.
looking great. Not looking great. Go ahead for it.
Yeah, I'll help with knives. Oh God, no, I won't. Not with a 1.
Oh, wow.
It is not great. You're all doing your best to attack the alpha platypus, but you are mere visitors to the water. The alpha platypus was born to it. It understands it and knows what it needs to do to get its next meal. It quickly dives under to where you can't see, comes up underneath you, and capsizes the boat, sending you all into the water. You are all engaged in combat with this thing right now. It's an endurance 10. I'm going to need you each to tell me how you're exposed to danger and roll weak point.
Rias is still feverish from the arrow poison.
Hmm.
And my weak point is 1. Thanks, dice roller.
Yeah, great. He's just in a mood, and it's rolling a
Yeah.
particular number today. It's very.
I hope that doesn't continue. I think for it, there's not enough time for him to get his dueling saber, so he's basically having to fight hand to hand with a throwing knife. Maybe 2 if he can kind of just stab wildly.
Indeed. What'd you get?
Weak point is 6.
Damn.
Obeha?
Half of my fighting prowess is magic and requires me to stab my staff into the ground. Can't
That's a
do that in
problem.
water.
It's a big problem. Go ahead and make a weak point. 5.
5.
1, 6, and 5. It's going to be a combat 3. You can start us off, Rias. Looking for 10 total on the 2 highest dice.
Sure. Combat 3. 5, 3, and 2. So we're looking at 8. 5 is hit.
5 is hit. That's a hit for Obeha. Let's begin the combat. Rias, describe what this looks like.
So I think while the others are throwing their knives and arcane energy, Rias is hastily trying to cast the spell, but the clouds are occluding the Siren of Tanan, which is what he's been invoking, and so he can't quite get the constellation right to match on the nodes on his body, and so it takes longer than he wants, and like this boat capsizes. Rias is only sort of like half in this fish form, and everything is murky. He's getting his bearings, and I think since he didn't take a hit this round, he's just kind of lost, and he's in this merfolk form, and just trying to like get under him, but he can't see. There's just mud and murk around him for now.
Obeha, are you marking armor or taking the hit?
I'm marking armor, Jason. Otherwise, I die.
Go ahead and describe that, please.
I think as like just taking it back for a few steps, like we were in the boat, I was blasting it. I think the actual like creature, since I imagine myself being in the middle, jumps up and like just effectively lands on me, and as I'm toppling, the boat is capsizing. I'm in the water. I'm struggling with like this creature who's trying to like claw at me with its probably poison barbs, because as a human being I know fun facts about platypuses. But however, I think there is a little brief like burst of energy from my amulet of protection, like giving me some distance away from the platypus.
For it, give me your part of it.
I think his fort just falls off the boat into the water. He's like mid-throw, kind of flips that throwing knife to get a grip on the handle, and tries to use it to basically anchor himself to this thing, right? I'm going to have to fight in the water. And he gets this solid thunk, and he's like, aha! But it's just a floating corpse. And now he's kind of like, crap. Like, how do I, change position to be able to defend myself?
If you wish to abandon the combat, you can certainly do so now and give your weak point to another hunter.
I think so. Because now I am in the water. However, I've prepared for this scenario. But unfortunately, because of how high my ruin is, and I think I'm needed to be around a little bit longer with probably rituals and whatnot, I'm still gonna pass my weak point anyways, because I'm clearing my condition words from Navask to heal a ruin as I escape combat. It just swim the fuck away.
Who are you giving your weak point to?
Who has the most armor currently?
I do have 2, but we have history here.
I'm gonna give it to Vorit then.
For it, you now have weak point of 5, and 6. Not the best numbers for a weak point. Rias, are you staying in the fight?
Rias is staying in the fight.
For it. Combat 4.
Well, that's a 9, but that is also a 5.
That is a 5 and a 1. I think Rias had 1, right?
Oh, that's right.
That
Yeah.
is correct. Yeah.
If you're taking the hit, you are also envenomed, which is a condition you have to take. So know that as you begin your narrations. Go ahead for it.
I think Ford actually almost climbs atop this body and is like, God, how they float? It's like bloated, and gets both knives going. Uh, but just as he's getting ready to strike, the platypus is like not having it and is right on it, and he has this sort of whirl, and it gets a big old bite of cloak, and he kind of pulls away, and so I'm marking my stiff wool cloak to not take the ruin.
Rias?
Yeah, I think we see Rias surge forward. Obeha, like I think Rias sees Obeha swimming away, trying to get to another boat or to shore. And Rias uses that to sort of find the fight. And it's still swimming, but it's still dark. He's underwater. His eyes haven't fully adjusted yet. And these stingers come out of nowhere. But Rias manages to get his shield up just in time, and the platypus, we see its jaws come like smash down on his shield, and it just sort of like yanks the shield. The straps come undone. I'll be marking 1 armor there.
If you are staying in the fight, we're going to roll. If you are abandoning and giving your weak point away, say so now.
Or want me to take a round with all of them?
No, I got it. I have another armor.
I mean, so do I, but might be easier on us if we take one and then we can switch out.
I'm cool with staying in. I mean, unless we think it's really tactically poor.
Yeah.
This would be a fine place for Fort to reach out to that hand and miss the smiling youth's hand.
Oh, I have a thought on the smiling youth. Don't worry about that.
Scary. I will note that since I did leave combat, if like I also like have an armor point remaining, so if like you like have one person leave, and then like if we have to go another round, like I can hop in and like take the hit.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if one of us is going to mark armor anyways, better to have one person mark one piece of armor than 2 people mark one piece of armor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a very clever
That's
way
fair.
of thinking about it. So Rias, you can leave and give it to Foret.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Rias swim away, and just sort of assess the situation a little bit better. If it goes another round, Rias is going to come back in. So he's just sort of taking a wide swim around. I'm going to give my weak point of 1 to Foret as well.
All right.
Foret, this is a combat 5.
That's 10 with only 1 6.
Not too bad. Are you taking the hit?
I do not want to be envenomed, so he'll get a mouthful of leather gambeson.
I think that's happening. It snapping and clawing at the leather gambus and tearing it up. The way the combat actually ends, though, is a little boat paddles close up to the fray. And it's the shining, smiling, honey-skinned youth. He reaches down at the thrashing alpha platypus, terror of the ancient waters, fury of nature, render of fish, layer of eggs, and touches it and whispers to it. Whispers words that you don't recognize. Soothing words that you don't recognize. The alpha platypus is calm, and the shining youth says, "It shall lead us to its nest, and you can take whatever you want from it. Roll gold 10 for it. Let's see if there's anything of worth in the nest."
Nice. Will the dice roller be kind? 2.
Indeed. The alpha platypus has slain many fools who have dared to travel in his sovereign waters, and taken from them their fool treasures. It's mostly just shiny bits and bobs. You can get enough from its shoreside nest to sell back at camp whenever camp happens. Decide how you're dividing it up. Thank you for your time. I will see you back on the boats.